Hi everybody, Carol here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to do a craft room tour, and you will see right away that this is not a glamorous room, but it is a very functional room for me and a very comfortable room. And so I'm going to take you through as you walk in. This was our son's bedroom before he grew up and moved out. And as we walk in, you'll see a long table from Joann's and another long table from Joann's at the back. And I have them fully extended with their little wings. And I also have a mat. I wanted to show you that it has been very helpful to me. That's for standing on it. I really do think it has helped. I have an Ott light, my trimmer, another floor lamp, and up above I just have a plain old work light hanging over, but the bulbs in it are LED bulbs, and they are not inexpensive, but I like them, but I'm not sure that I get enough light, so I've ordered some other lights. But you can see across the room, this is where I stand, and I have a view of the room underneath. Not very pretty, but I have a bar stool with boxes of paper that I use from time to time. I can just reach under and grab it while I'm filming. The next table is fully extended also, and right beside it I have a little set of stacking tables, which to the left you will see a box, and that is masculine cards, and right beside it is the box of scraps that I cut off from my 8.5 by 11 paper, and I use that. Now this table has my Big Shot, my scoreboard, my tape dispenser. I wanted to show that I have a full window here, but it gets the east sun, so it's not a lot of light, not as much as I really thought I would get, but it's nice to be able to look out, and I'm glad to have a window. Now there's my beloved cat that we had for 14.5 years, and he was all boy, but we loved him very, very much, and miss him. These are my Prismacolors, and then just stacks of cards back behind there that I've already made, that they're ready for a YouTube video, or if I choose to do so someday, and they give me ideas. That's why I leave them out there, to inspire me. I could look at one and go, if I just change that, or if I just change that, or maybe I could put this on there and that would do that. That's why I leave things out for inspiration. There's some new wheels that I have not used yet. There's my stamp positioner. This is a stack of little design elements that I've cut out and put on with repositionable glue, the Tombow, so that from time to time I can just pull them out and say, well, I think I might like a little girl in this picture, or I might like a little boy in this picture, or I might like a tree, or I might like a horse. And I have them down to where I can just pull them up, put them onto the card, see what it looks like, and then put it back and save it. Don't use it, save it, but go ahead and stamp another one like it, or maybe I have another one already stamped. I have several pages like that, and it's really been helpful to have that. Now I forgot to show that I have my white cardstock and my black cardstock stacked, so I'm going to squash back through because this is a tight space here. The whole room is every inch is used, but at the legs of the table I have spread to where I can actually put some things on it, and that's where my white and black cardstock are. And now this is the unsightly part of the room, but perhaps the most used. Down below are 2 boxes of makeup sponges that I have designated for certain colors. And then underneath that is another box of cardstock. That's my backup that I haven't even used yet, but colors that I probably use the most. And there I'm just showing you one sponge, and each one's in a little individual bag. And underneath here is a section that I don't use very often, but it's ideas, so that if I run out, that's a box of ideas cards that are almost that would be very easy to make. Now, not this one, that just has some design elements in it, but to pull some things out of that would be very easy to whip a card together with what is there. Now, this poor little desk I have had since I was a teenager. I am not kidding. And you can tell by the paint peeling off. It has shelves on the side that I use for patterned paper, die cuts, different things like that. And then there's my box of for cards, feminine cards, female cards. And so, but back behind here, that's just a little tiny tin box with some ideas, again, landscape and so forth. But these boxes hold, and it totally needs to be redone, and I realize that. But when I stamp something, I make extras generally, and then I have things left over that I don't use. So I put them in cellophane bags, and I label each one with the name of the stamp set. And unfortunately, they're all different sizes of bags, so I do need to redo that. But they are all in alphabetical order. So I do have to know the names of my stamp sets, but then I can go right to it. And then this box is mostly holiday and mostly Christmas, but lots of holidays, and then a little bit of floral stamps at the back. But this has been invaluable to me, and that is actually some tat work done by my grandmother, whom I never met. She died when my mother was very young, but I treasure that. And then this, I bought at a garage sale by a doctor, and those are old doctor scales, if you can even imagine such a thing, standing on those and being weighed and moving the little bars back and forth. But anyway, beside the point, I grouped some colors together, color cardstock, again, some more items that I look at, and grouping those colors together helps me to pull what reds I like together, what oranges I like together, what yellow, so forth. My younger sister gave me this stand, and I've used it for cardstock. There are some old family photos that are near and dear to my heart, and some theater ticket stubs, things like that I love, and they bring joy to me when I look at them. But this paper also is alphabetized, but just not according to color, just according to name. If it had a green and a yellow that were alphabetized by each other, and they will be there. However, I put those over into this box of cardstock, and it is also alphabetized, but according, all the greens are alphabetized. If it's kiwi green or garden green or dark green or you name it, and that's what I would use. And the pinks, the purples, the same thing, the neutrals, and even the reds and like the yellows, for example. Orange, I put those with orange. Orange would come before pumpkin, and the O and the P, and that is really helpful to me. Now, this book needs a separate video by itself, but these are cards that I have made for people over the years, people we've worked with and been friends with, and there was a time when I sent as many as 15 cards a month, and so I didn't want to resend the same card, so I would make a photocopy, put it in there, say who it went to, and that sort of thing. I finally learned how to streamline it. Now, I went back and opened these curtains so that you could see a little bit of the light coming in. There's a tree. You can tell we're upstairs. It's an upstairs room. And I do like being able to look out. But coming back to the colored paper again, and there are some design patterns on that shelf also. And I was just showing, again, the different colors, how they stack up. But this could definitely be tidied up. But the thing about it, this could be sitting in an IKEA cabinet. But if I go to this so many times a day, or, even if once a day, and if I had to open a cabinet door, it'd have to be on a sliding shelf. If I pulled it out, then I'd probably have to get down on my knees to go through it. And that could be very frustrating if I had to do that a few times a day. So even though it's not attractive, it's the right height for me. I can go through it very fast, and honestly, very few people, or very few times, does anybody come up here. Now, that's another picture of my cat, and then the book again. And this table was made for me by my husband, which is so simple, just sawhorses with boards over it. And I put a couple of tablecloths on it to kind of dignify it a little bit. But anyway, it makes it a little more presentable. But I have enjoyed it. And as I said, it would be a lot prettier to have cabinets there. But any of those things that are there, even the box of the leftover stamp packets, and if I had to pull that out of a cabinet, even on a sliding shelf, I'd probably have to get down on my knees and dig through it, and I can just see myself getting frustrated. So even though it may not be the best look, it works for me, and since no one has to come in here but me, then that's fine. So here are my colored pens, markers, glossy accents, all kinds of different kinds of pens. Those jars back there hold hole punches and extra markers, just things that you need occasionally. I have a special use for those, but that's for another video. This is a box of dies and embossing folders, and I try to keep some of those in alphabetical order too. It just makes life easier for me. Now, this is a stack of my brush lettering things, a booklet that I've done, and some of the things that I use for that. And then there's a chair right next to this. I am showing the sawhorses, and then there is a travel bag under there that I never use for traveling, but it is full of things, supplies too, that I just almost never use, but they're there. And I can also see my acrylic blocks, and I have a little glass block there too. But we'll pan over, and that was the needlework done by my mom a long time ago. But these chairs, there are two of these, and my daughter bought them saying that she would use them someday when she moved out. Well, guess what? They're still here, and they're crammed in there, but I do have to admit that I sit on that chair from time to time and thumb through some books and some pages of notes and things that I do need. Now, this is sloppy, and I have since gone back and cleaned the top of this off. But this is a sewing machine, a very old Necky, if you've ever heard of it. And I bought it at a garage sale. And I love it because I don't sew anymore, really, except a seam here and there. But the wings come open, which give me a lot of surface. It has 4 drawers. I mean, it's like, it really is convenient. These stamps that I have since hidden and put away, but I use these for the back of my cards to stamp on my cards and then put my initials. And then this is just a tacky looking little box, but it is full of sentiments. And if I know I want to do thinking of you or happy birthday, before I grab my stamp, I'll go through this box first and see if I already have some stamped up. And that's why I've said before, when I stamp, I'll usually go ahead and stamp several, so that I don't have to go grab a stamp and grab the ink pad and grab paper. Hopefully it would be in that box. More markers, some flowers that I've made and played with by cutting different layers out and putting them on top of each other. Here's some brush lettering, a gift we have for a friend here that I've done, and then another stack that I've done for another friend. And they're just about done except for punching the holes and putting the rings through them. Now I'm going to try to show you my stamps behind this sewing machine table because it's cramped back there, and it would make me have to get really close to it. But I will show you the organization. This is a built-in cabinet. Up on the top we even put a shelf. Those are cones of yarn. I used to machine knit, if you've ever heard of knitting on a knitting machine, and I don't do that anymore either. But originally what I'm showing, I'd forgotten I put this in here, but what I'm showing is that table my husband built me for my knitting machine. And when you have ribbing on sweaters, that's made with a ribber, and it would hang on the front of that. Now these are again some old family photos, even my granddad's married and grandmother's marriage certificate. But on these stamps, the way I organized them, since it's a slant ceiling, I had to accommodate for that. But on the left are the large stamp sets. In the middle are the little very small stamp sets, and on the right is some extra large and then a mixture. On the second shelf are small. We have large, extra small, small, and then on the right are the medium size. And these are all alphabetized. Again, I need to know the names of my stamp sets, but if it's like birthday party, I can go look for a B, and if it's not in the medium size, then it might be in the small size, or it might actually be a large size set. Generally, I kind of know that. But on the bottom is a mixture of Christmas stamps and holiday stamps. To the right of that are ink refills. Apologize for the kind of important papers I have tucked away there, and they're getting droopy. But on the bottom shelf, I have some acrylic paint and some paint brushes that I hardly ever use, but sometimes with a brayer. But anyway, and then the stamps there are brand new stamps I have not used yet. Some of them are spring and summer, so I'm waiting. And then my roller wheels, different sizes, and right beside them is a little box of the handles and the ink cartridges. Now these are very, very, very old files from my early stamp making days, so I just kind of don't have the heart to throw that away. I look back at them and can hardly remember the people. But anyway, and then here is the other chair, and actually I just use that more for, I have, I can sit on it for sure, but I actually use that kind of as from overflow. If I'm working at the table and I need someplace to put something, set it down really quickly, I can just set it on that chair. And so it's really been kind of a nice surface. Now I want to explain my funny looking camera setup. One of my husband's brothers had this in his garage. It was from a hospital, from back part of the work he did involved that, and it is like an IV bag holder. I'm sure you've seen them, and he gave that to us because he didn't need it anymore. He's retired. But anyway, so I had the tripod that you see going across the top up there, but I could not get it to really work right for me. So I just got this idea, and I thought maybe if I just fold it all up and somehow attach it to that IV stand, and it worked. And you might say, well, why would you need to use a tripod? Well, first of all, I'd already bought it, but it does work because that little head there, my camera's not on it because I'm holding it, but it swivels and twists and turns, and you can lock it in. And so the tripod part of it I really did need. So it has just worked out beautifully, better than I ever dreamed. And so I wanted to show you on this table my really classy box, my postal box there, but it was a perfect fit for my ink pads. So I put them in there again according to colors. They're not alphabetized, but they're according to color, yellows and greens and purples. And then there are my Millennium pens. I just leave them on top because I use them all the time. But I wanted to show you something kind of funny. I saw this one day. It had been in my daughter's room, and it's a cassette holder, and it spins. And I thought, I wonder if that would hold my ink pads. And it is perfect on the bottom for those little old-fashioned ink pads. Well, those are still around in a different brand, at Hobby Lobby and things. So you can use those, and then on top the bigger ink pads that need a little more space. But I use that. I twist that, turn, think. Now, they're according to colors, too. I have the blues, then the reds, then the yellows. And so I just twist it, and it works so nice. So now this just looks like a nice big old piece of white cardstock, but I'm going to show you that underneath I have hidden stacks of cards that I've started on, I'm playing with, kind of like the others, but they're complete. These are not, and they just give me ideas of embossing ideas or cutting ideas or whatever, and I just keep them covered up, but just to keep it looking tidy. But I do pull that up and look at those, and it is amazing the inspiration I get from that. And those cards that were on that chair there are also a whole stack of just ideas of putting different things together. I didn't go through them, but I could do a video on that someday. Just ideas that I've gotten. I glued them down with my repositionable glue, and I'll go back to them. Now here's the closet. the horror closet that is definitely for things I do not use very often. But we put some shelves in there and more yarn at the top. Um, Leftover things that I don't really use anymore. These closets are nice in that when you open the door, the light just automatically comes on. This is a glass button box, envelopes, some of the packaging for some of the things I have. I'm thinking I might want to have the packaging for that someday if I give it to somebody. I have duplicates of some stamps that I just need to give to somebody or whatever. And then I have a box of paper down here. It's more like scrapbook paper. You can't see it. It's a big old box and it goes all the way to the back. Down here are my backgrounds, some of my background stamps. And then in front of them are some of the clear stamps. And they just sit in that little wire rack. And some of my knitting machine papers back there. And I also have that box of punches right there that I don't have a lot of punches, honestly. But the ones I have, I use from, fairly often. So that is the closet. I guess you could say the messy closet. But, and then you might have seen that little crocheted cat sitting on that chair right there. That was another crochet item my older sister made that for my daughter, and the little dress you saw hanging on the cabinet. So both sisters have contributed to this room. So that's what I say. It is not glamorous. It could be some really nice looking cabinets, and I've thought about it, but I don't think it would be that functional for me. You have to make a room to work for you. And if it's a show place, mine's upstairs out of sight. If people are going to walk by and see it all the time, I would probably have a different attitude. But they're not. And not too many people even come upstairs, to be honest. So it's my hideaway. I walk down this hall and I look over, I glance over and see that. And my heart is happy. I love that room. Spent many, many hours in it. It's, I guess you could say, my happy place. But anyway, so here are just some snapshots, photos, just a little flashback here. If I can do it, you can do it. I mean, I feel blessed to have what I have. That's my view standing behind my desk working. So thank you so much for joining me. I wish you all the best. Have fun crafting wherever you are, whatever you use.